Three stories about surveillance systems that got it completely wrong. Someone got accused, someone got tracked, someone got flagged. Two actually happened, one is completely made up. The catch, they're all written the same way, so you can't just go by how it sounds. You have to go by how it feels. So let's go.
Welcome back to Two Real, Two Truths and One Lie. I'm Michael and Julianne is here with me. As always, we're looking at three stories. Two actually happened, one is completely made up. Your job is to figure out which one's made up.
And this week, every story is about the same thing. Surveillance systems that were supposed to protect you, instead, they destroyed you. Flock cameras that get it wrong, government tracking your old posts, smart city infrastructure that can't tell you from someone else.
That really sounds like Smart City. And in every case, the question isn't just real or fake. The question is, when surveillance systems make mistakes about you, who pays the price?
And that's why it's the surveillance state that can't tell the difference. They say it's smart, but is it really smart? So there's no right answers, just gut reactions. Let's get into it. And of course, if you're new, do subscribe. We do this every Monday, Two Real, Two Truths, and One Lie. So we're going to go right into our first story tonight. And it is, am I the asshole for being charged with a hit and run when the hit and run vehicle was a completely different truck? I got charged with a hit and run for a vehicle that wasn't even the same type of truck as mine. I own a four-door pickup. One afternoon, there's a hit and run accident in my neighborhood. Someone hits another car and flees. The flock footage clearly shows a two-door truck. Police show up at my door. They have flock camera data showing a truck in the area. They think it's mine. Here's where it gets really infuriating. The hit and run vehicle in the footage is a two-door truck. My truck is a four-door. These are completely different vehicles. When I pointed this out to the officer, the vehicle in the footage is a two-door. My truck is a four-door. These are obviously different. He basically shrugged. He said Flock had identified the truck in the area and my license matched. I got summons for a hit and run charge, 2 months of my life. In court, I showed everything, the footage showing a two-door truck, pictures of my four-door truck in my driveway, dash cam footage, geolocation data, witness statements. My neighbor testified my truck never left that day. The prosecutor kept saying Flock was in your area or has you in the area. I kept saying a two-door truck was in the footage. Truck is a four-door. These are obviously different vehicles. There is no answer. Because there is no answer. Flock got it completely wrong. Charges were eventually dropped when they caught the actual driver, but my insurance company had already paid out to fix the victim's car. They treated the Flock identification as proof of guilt. I fought with the insurance company for weeks to get them to retract the claim. They finally did, but only after my rates had already gone up. And even though the charges were dropped, they retracted the payout. My insurance record will still show I was involved in a hit and run claim. That's attached to me now. The history is permanent. And now it's because the surveillance system couldn't tell the difference between a two-door and a four-door truck, and there's nothing I can do about it. A 5-year-old could look and see these two trucks that were completely different, but Flock flagged me, police acted on it, insurance paid, and now I'm paying the price literally for the rest of my insurance history. When I tried to fight this, I discovered something infuriating. It's incredibly easy to pay a Flock fine. The system processed payments instantly, but trying to dispute a ticket, trying to challenge a Flock identification, almost impossible. I had to contact Flock through a private company based in Florida. The person handling appeals doesn't even live in Florida, and there's no local accountability. No way to actually talk to someone who understands your case. It's designed so that paying is seamless and automatic, but fighting back is a nightmare of bureaucracy. I watched other people go through this same thing. Easy to get charged, impossible to defend yourself. The system is built one way. So am I the asshole for being furious that a camera system can't distinguish between a 2 and a 4-door truck, yet is being used to charge people with crimes for being stuck with higher insurance rate because a system that's fundamentally broken, and for discovering that the only easy thing about Flock is paying them. Fighting back is nearly impossible. That's a lot.
Yes, that's what the dog says. That's
I
a
think
lot.
they're totally agreeing with that. They're like, what the hell, right?
But wasn't it one of our other stories? It was like they were tagged, but it wasn't their vehicle. But I'm like, it's probably because you didn't state the type of truck in this video. So yeah, I was just like, that other story we had, wasn't it like one of those electric trucks? But I can't remember the brand name of them because people barely even have them. So anyway, that is a tough situation to be in with this. A video foot, you would think video footage would be like guaranteed proof, yet they're using it against you even when you give them proof that it's not your vehicle, but because they think it's your vehicle because they're blind and can't identify.
Yeah, well, I feel like repetitive, because I'm going to come right back to the US government putting out that texting education thing where it was like 7 days in a row where they texted you to learn about AI, and they insisted and were very, very, very clear that what information you get from AI, you need to still validate that information. So I find it really amazingly strange how we've got, these are government officials, they are working for, or sometimes the voted in sheriff and these different people, they're all working, you're paying your taxes, and they're not doing the due diligence, because clearly that would be like, a kid would see these are not the same truck, and when they show up and his truck's there and there's no damage and it doesn't match, you're like, why is there no responsibility on their end? Because this is just the epitome of laziness of people working in this system, because really the reason Flock is getting a bad name is because of the human lack of diligence on the information.
But the camera.
We are at a time now where
it's like,
well, it is. It's so insane that they're not doing, before, to arrest people, they had to have evidence. And sometimes that was even difficult, that, we would have corruption of that providing that anyways, right? And now we've got something where it's like not even really good evidence, and you've done no cognitive thinking in this process, and you're just going to go by what this system has just told you, right? So we have to really put the onus on the people that are not doing their due diligence to check the information before they start this process.
True.
Where are we? So any other thoughts on that, Mike? What do you think overall?
The draw. The driver's not the asshole, since they have to, if you want to prove your innocence, you're literally going to have to fight for your innocence and prove, at least they have that, data to prove it wasn't them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Like their neighbor.
You may not always have the neighbor's testimony. You may not always have dash cam footage. That's what I was saying. I'm like, this truck, his truck that's been wrongly identified, if he has all these data key points, that's really the only way you can prove that you weren't there at that particular time, because otherwise you'd have no evidence.
Well,
other than a non-damaged vehicle, right?
Well, and that is very much like matching the story from last week, where she was identified driving through the town when a package went missing, and they identified, but when she started doing all the due diligence on her end, they dropped the charges, right? This guy was fighting the insurance company as well, and now having this attached to him, and he didn't even do anything, right? And you're constantly have to fighting all these levels to clear your name, and then the Of course, it's super easy to pay the flock system, but to fight it, of course, there's no easy, clear way to do that,
That's
which is
always
clearly what I wanted to
every
do.
system is built that way. Fines are easy to pay, but actually get to removal of a fine, yeah, good luck with that.
Exactly, right. So, verdicts overall is algorithm made a guess about your guilt based on limited data. You had overwhelming evidence of innocent and still had to fight. That's wrong, and furious from that. The flock needs to verify matches before flagging people, and the prosecutor should have dismissed this immediately with your evidence. And the insurance company should never have paid out solely on flock's claim. Like, well, now we're going to have insurance agents that are AI making the judgment for AI. So that's why I don't like, well, this AI is only going to trust the flock AI, and that's how they're going to work together. So we're like, this is going to become, unfortunately, when people have talked about a digital prison, if we think about it, and I think you might, this would be it. Sorry.
You completely broke up, so I'm hoping it's only my side.
We might be breaking up on both because I was releasing some information here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. So I'm just saying, you just started on a roll, and then that's when it cut out. And I was like, all right, I'll just sit here smiling, looking pretty, waiting for a story too.
So either way, I was just saying the whole point of the AI, Flock is an AI, and then it's going to push it to the insurance companies, which are going to be ran by AI. So the AI is going to make the decision here, and then the insurance company AI is only going to trust the insurance companies. We're told to trust what Flock says, right? So immediately you've got an increase, and it's all feeding itself, right? So that is what I'm essentially.
That is literally the definition of automation.
Yeah. So yes, I hope you see what I'm kind of saying, Jimmy. And Jimmy is back in there.
Hey, Jimmy.
And there you go. When I broke up, exactly. When we break up on that important point.
We reoriented the Starlink dish before this, and I told Julie she had to talk slower.
I get too excited. Okay. Well, as I practice talking slower for our next story, are we ready for the next story?
Yes, go ahead.
Story number 2. Am I the asshole for being furious that police show up at my house about a social media post I made years ago? Police knock on my door to ask about a social media post I made 3 years ago. I'm a regular person. I have a regular social media account. I post about my life, my opinions, stuff I care about. Nothing extreme, nothing I thought would get me in trouble. One morning, there's a knock on my door. Two police officers, sorry. They want to talk about something I posted on social media 3 years ago. I was confused. I asked them what it was about. They said they were following up on a concerning post that had been flagged by authorities. They wouldn't tell me which post or what specifically was concerning about it. I tried to remember what I'd posted 3 years ago. I couldn't even access that post anymore. I think I deleted it. They asked me questions about my beliefs, about my political views, whether I harbor any resentment towards the government. I was terrified. I'm not a radical. I'm not a threat. But suddenly I'm being questioned by police because of something I posted years ago. After they left, I did research. Turns out my country recently passed a bill called the Combating Hate Act. It expanded hate speech laws and gave authorities more power to investigate concerning online content. But here's the thing. There's no clear definition of what counts as hate speech versus legitimate political speech. It's vague, it's subjective, and apparently it's being applied retroactively to posts from years ago. The police didn't charge me with anything. They just wanted to talk, but the message was clear. We're watching you. We're watching what you post, and even years later, we might show up at your door. I looked into it more and found out it's been happening to other people too. People getting visited by police about old posts, people being questioned about political views, people being flagged by some system that decides their speech is concerning. One woman said police showed up at her house while she was babysitting her grandchildren. She was terrified. The officer wouldn't explain what she'd supposedly done wrong, just that her post had been flagged. Another person said they were terrified to post anything now, not because they're saying anything extreme, but because they don't know what the government might decide is concerning 6 months or 3 years from now. What kills me is the retroactive nature of this. I made that post when the law didn't exist, but now it exists and I'm being investigated for things I said before the rules changed. I don't even know if that's most concerning, honestly, as my own side note. It feels like a chilling effect of free speech. It feels like the government is deciding what thoughts are acceptable and punishing you if you step out of line, even years later. So, am I the asshole for being furious that the police showed up at my house about a post I made years ago? For feeling like my freedom of speech is being monitored and controlled by the government that can change what illegal is whenever it wants to?
Hey, you didn't break up at all, so that was the proper rate of speech. This is concerning. You know what? I feel like that this particular story happened in Canada, but I'm just coming to that observation based on the fact that we've posted just stuff on Facebook. It gets banned. So, I don't know if anybody's looking for me, and I'm about to knock on my door.
I guess we're at this point where it's good to be homeless. Like, no door to knock on because I don't know where you are, right? So,
Precisely.
and you might have given a hint to the audience that this may or may not be based on a true story from where we're from. That might be a
Oh,
very,
I
very,
gave away. No, I didn't give it away whether or not it's. Oh, is it true or not? Oh.
and I do agree, that, wait, first I have to post this because exactly this is the type of stuff you would see under communism. That is what type of things you see, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. And who knows? Because this is not being disclosed at this moment. Oh, I might be giving too much away. We better go to the next
You are.
story.
I think you already gave it away, but we'll just go on with the verdicts from Reddit. Then not the.
Go to it. Police are showing up at your house about an old post you made before the law existed is absolutely wrong. Retroactive application of new laws is violent. You should be change that insane, right? And if you're concerned about how new laws apply to your speech, we have to educate ourselves. That is what was part of the comments. And the top comment, though, this is how authoritarianism starts, not with a bang, but with police showing up at your door asking about posts from years ago. You should be terrified. Everyone should be.
Fun.
Fun. Let's go to story number 3. Story number 3. And I agree, Jimmy, with your comment. I'm not your last little comment here. Needs a Boston, drunk, ready to fight, ready for freedom. And all I can see is like the little drunk, oh my God, is the Irishman. Is that one of the things from, am I in the wrong place? Where do they like the Irish?
Boston.
Okay, sorry, I'm right. I'm not confusing my
Oh
location.
no, but it was the. Well, are you talking about World Cup?
No. Never
Oh,
mind. You don't even know what I'm talking about.
That's Indiana.
No, that wasn't what I was talking about. So that's fine. Let's go. Let's go to story number.
Sorry. I was looking at the playback monitor, and on the playback monitor right now, not my computer, but the screen behind me, I like Jimmy's comment about him losing his bleep. So
There you go. Another shout out to Jimmy. So make sure you're in the chat following Jimmy.
they did that. Yeah, he's on fire with these comments because I see another one popping up. So
Exactly. He's right. So go and join our chat on YouTube. So go and subscribe and you can go join Jimmy in the comments.
now I know his family's ethnicity, which does not surprise me for people in Canada. So
And there you go. The Irish are coming. Another house in Boston. Oh shit, run.
Yeah, but Boston's actually in America where they have freedom. Canada, another story. So that's different. It's different.
It's different. But let's get to the third story. Is this real or fake? Let's go here. So is it real or fake? On NEMA, that's North Node data that identified me. I police surveillance system tracking past an area where a crime happened. I live in a neighborhood where the city installed new streetlights, NEMA nodes, smart streetlights that are supposed to save energy. Newer generation has monitoring sensors that trigger other cameras in the area, including flock cameras. The city said it was for public safety. I like to take walks at night. I have insomnia. Walking helps, so I walk around my neighborhood most nights, same routes, same times. One night, there's a burglary 2 blocks from my house. Someone breaks into the car, steals stuff, leaves. A week, police show up at my door. They say they have evidence I was in the vicinity of the crime. They pull up some NEMA data on their laptop. The motion sensor detected activity in the area that night. The motion triggered the nearby flock camera, which captured footage. And that footage was of me walking down the street multiple times a week near where the crime happened. I tried to explain I walk that route every night. I live in the neighborhood. Of course I was there. They arrested me anyways. Here's what's infuriating. The NEMA data is just motion detection. It's vague. It doesn't prove who's moving or what they're doing, just that something moved. And the flock footage, it shows me walking. That's it. Walking, not even breaking into cars, not stealing anything, just walking. But the detective told me you're a regular in that area. That makes you suspicious. I spent the night in a holding cell. I was interrogated. They kept asking me where I was the night of the burglary, as if my nightly walk somehow proved I was a burglar. My lawyer eventually got the charges dropped. The NEMA data was deemed too vague to constitute evidence. The flock image of me walking was not proof I committed a crime. But here's what happened. My face is now in the flock system. My walking pattern is flagged, and even though I was cleared, the police marked my profile as a person of interest in the area, which means every time I walk, I might get stopped, questioned, treated like a suspect based on vague footage of me doing nothing. What makes me angry is that I can't opt out. The NEMA nodes are on public streets. I can't avoid them without leaving my neighborhood, and the city doesn't tell residents they're being tracked. The system is just there, watching, recording. The NEMA sensors triggers flock whenever I walk, my face gets captured, and that's enough to flag me, even though the data proves nothing. I tried to get my data removed from the system. The city told me it's captured by public infrastructure. It's not personal data and that they can't delete it. So my footsteps are permanently recorded, my patterns are flagged, and if another crime happens in my neighborhood, I might get arrested again based on some vague data, the same innocent footage. So am I the asshole for being furious of the vague motion data from NEMA, the flock camera that captured me walking, not stealing, got me arrested for a crime I didn't commit, and now I'm permanently flagged as suspicious for living in my own neighborhood?
We were talking about the NEMA infrastructure recently on one of the shows, right? Because
Yeah, that was Thursday. That was in the Honestly Though on Thursday.
so I like how it's stuck into the script for today. So interesting. So motion detection, so we're walking down the street. The motion detectors detect activity. Camera fires up. Maybe captures you. Maybe hallucinates some stuff because I'm sure it's all AI. And okay, that's I did not know that. Okay, there we go.
Like,
Just walking is gonna get you arrested for this. Is totally communism right there. So
You know what? Like I'm saying, the fact that the police can go on these very vague things, take them and prove and use them as evidence. Obviously, once it got to the courts to a certain level, they're throwing it out. But the fact that it even started, like clearly there's due diligence needed, right?
Are we just, is it just the thing that we've already always known, is that no matter what level of peace officer, or what we call them in peace officers in Canada, but they are sheriffs in America. All these people just have monthly quotas of, pulling people over, there's just quotas involved, and cameras like the flock just help them meet their quotas, and then you have to go to court to get this stuff thrown out.
Well, or you're paying a fine, or you're keeping a record and a fine, or whatever it
Fines
is,
a quota, man.
right? Well, and you know what? We can go down that rabbit hole because you know what? There's clearly some pattern with what happened during the early 2020s and the COVID. And yeah, there's a whole thing of putting in all these ways to be notified of where you are and where you're going, right? Like this all really pushed in the last 6 years,
But
right?
and it's convenient if all these motion detectors, and it's convenient if all this NEMA stuff is connected to 5G towers, because they got to move that data somehow, and that's a lot of data to push.
Well, and then it was interesting. Then we get into the data centers, and then it was interesting because I saw which I thought I would talk about next Thursday, this coming Thursday, I guess, because I'm gonna have to plan for that right away. But I came across an article which said because of the 78, because so far people, essentially petitioning and complaining about data centers in their neighborhood, there's been 78 less made, which now the fear they're pushing is that China's going to win the AI. And I'm like, oh, that's the scope. That's the way they're going to turn it. So that didn't want your agricultural land destroyed and the water used up and polluted, and stop 78 data centers. Well, now we're behind on the AI race. So
Well,
I thought that
we were behind on shutting down the economy over flu until China beat it started, and then we just followed. So it always starts with China. It's always competition with China. Competition with China is like, oh my gosh.
So, anyways, obviously they're not the asshole. Like, really, when you go to it, they're arrested on vague surveillance data, proves nothing, right? We again have seen this trend. You're cleared. That's in violation. You should be furious. Some people made comments. Well, and I would agree. Maybe if you can sue them, right, for anything wrongful, if you can, right, but you
That,
know,
That's an easy cop out answer.
it is. It is.
If I ever bring up a situation with somebody and the first words out of their mouth are sue them, I know they're American, but then B, I'm like, did you even listen to the story? Because there's a lot of things that go into that practice of that route, and it may not it may not even give you the outcome that you want, but it's just like drop
Oh,
those.
exactly, because we can't expect the system to be there to not protect the system, especially in certain countries like Canada. The system is there to protect the system. It is becoming a perpetual problem. So going to the law doesn't mean you're going to win, right? So they're like, that's exactly it. Or it's going to really, you've got to, it seems like there's a little more justice in the South, in the US, but I'm not going to say it's
Well,
always
not
just.
it really just depends on jurisdiction in the U.S. Because
Exactly.
I know when we have the issue with our truck, we're like, oh, you should sue GMC over lemon law. I'm like, you must be in a state that has a lemon law, and that's very few states. I did very few, but that was for the person I was talking to, the business owner I was talking to. Their first thing was like, sue them, and I'm like, you must come from a litigious state. That's the first answer out of your mouth.
Exactly. Just sue them. Well, I'm going to say the top comment wasn't that. The top comment was actually smart city infrastructure is a surveillance dragnet. Being innocent isn't a defense when you're flagged by a system that can't distinguish between a walking and crime, right? And it is like we're going into the point where it's now going to be you have to prove yourself innocent, right? So you almost have to have your own tracking device in case something happens. Be like, no, I had to prove through my phone and all of that. And then is there going to be a level where that is also people stepping into it that are like, no, I'm not going to step into the mark of the beast and get my digital ID and my digital code, but you almost need it so you can be tracked appropriately and not have to fight for your own freedom. Is that a way that this system's going to take us down? I don't know. It opens a lot of things where I have more questions. Yeah, that's the way I think. There you go. That's where that went.
Too much thinking. Wrong thoughts.
Wrong thoughts. Exactly. Wrong thoughts.
Where's the mind police? Oh wait, your phone's already listening to you, and your smart TV is listening to you. Even if it's not on, it's listening to you and recording everything and sending it to a data center somewhere near you to prove that you're wrong about you're wrong. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And to point out as we go, because we're gonna make when meeting my future, except yeah. It's always being the weirdo in some place, right? There you go. That's how we're gonna all run away and be somewhere. I don't know. I don't know if we can run away, but so there's some interesting conversations. So come and join it in the chat. Okay, so let's round it up. Let's put the guesses in the chat. Now, don't scroll down because I accidentally saved over the reading part for you, Mike. So then it's just a reveal. So you have nothing else to read.
I just see outro and I was like, okay, so I can't even
So
review
let's
it.
put that in there.
Well, it's just really the 3 story titles, which I would just have to scroll up to the top to review all the stories, and that's gonna be. Do you have it, or we just have to
Well,
do
we got the first story. So just a reminder, the truck accusation. So this was the one where the trucks didn't match and they had to provide all the evidence again, proving that they're innocent to the system. That was story number 1. Then we have story number 2, pull over a post from years ago. So that's retroactive thought police right here. And then the smart city is very similar to our first story, but it's using 2 different of the technology flagged technology, and just put somebody who was walking in this neighborhood as the criminal and for a crime they didn't commit, breaking into, I believe it was a car. So that would be the third story. So drop your guesses. We had a guess number 2 that it was the wrong thought crimes from previous posts. What is your guess?
Well, you know what? It's bad because I'm thinking 1 and 3 are like made up, but 2 of them are real. So it's this. Oh my. 1, 2, just because you may have already left that out of the bag. So I was really thinking number 1 was a lie, and then I read it, and then we went over 3, and it's like, really, for just motion detecting camera. Damn it. They're I'm just gonna go. Just to be fair, I'm gonna go with my first original thought was number 1.
Okay,
Come on,
let's
it's
do
a 2-door versus a 4-door. 2-door versus a 4-door. Come on.
Okay, let's do the little drum roll and let's reveal the fake story this evening. And the fake story was actually number 3. The NEMA and the flock surveillance has not actually yet. I could not find a reported story on the combination of the 2.
Oh, it will happen next week.
I know. I'm so let me summarize. Summarizing. I got arrested in a smart city surveillance system tracking me while I walked in an area. Wait, where did it go? There we go. So, yeah. I think I let me see. Where was it? I didn't even. I saved over, and I'm missing part of my script. So we'll just say, let's summarize these up. Those 2 have not been found in combination, but like you said, at any moment, both this technology is working and has been installed all over North America. We've now been talking about that with our Honestly Though, that both are showing up everywhere. And so it's really a matter of time that they're going to use them in combination. And it's very much like I was talking about with the first story, where like it is really unbelievable that the two-door versus a four-door and the picture not matching, and clearly the person's vehicle was not wrecked and wasn't the same model. It, and how difficult it is to fight it is real. Like that's why it's almost so humorous, is because you're just like, that seems really unbelievable that there's not even that basic level of due diligence, right? To question the information, which comes back down to humans making this technology even worse, really, right? And then the second story is happening. That is what happened in Canada. Is this bill was passed, and police are showing up at people's doors to ask them about postings that they had made before, which we knew had happened. We knew we couldn't share things that were news related online. Couldn't even share things that were like not even just posted by a newspaper. You can't post it. So even if it's not, it's like something good, like an anniversary that was in a local newspaper, you can't share it, right? Like we went through that. So, with that type of censorship bill, it is very disheartening, and the world needs to know about it. That's why we're talking about it. Is like that is happening to your neighbors of the north, and I think that Americans need to understand that is what's happening. Any thoughts
Uh,
on that before?
well,
But I believe this story.
no, just don't utter death threats on Facebook. Come on. You'll be somebody will show up your door, knock on your door a couple of years later, saying, "Hey, now it's legal to come and interrogate you about whatever you've posted on the internet."
And it wasn't.
Hint, hint.
People did not do any type of
Well,
unaliving for.
there's certain things I see where, and I'm like, when you see people who are like really emotional about politics, and you see them post things, doesn't mean it matter if it's Facebook or Instagram. And you're just like, yeah, you're probably lucky that you're on the road and travel. Because I'm like, sure that, I just said I know a traveler who was like, he travels. He's a business guy, travels all over the place, and I have not seen him online since he left Dubai, and he went to. It was on his way to Europe, and I was like, I wonder if eventually running your mouth and being that
Maybe he's
outspoken.
been kicked offline. Maybe
Oh
something
no,
else.
he did it. He did.
Okay,
He did.
maybe
Huh.
something else has happened. That's all you say.
Exactly. I'm just saying, people disappear online from their platforms because they're only on one or two platforms, and they should
And
be on.
that comes into something we want to talk about, because as we go in, and depending on where you are, and if there is censorship bills going on and ways to kind of make it more and more difficult for you to share who you are, this is even more important. But this is something to be aware of wherever you are, because you want to watch for those signs coming. Because I would say that you want to use this as an example, that you don't want that happening where you live, right? And that we start pushing back. But that comes to what we actually have available. So why don't you jump right into our closing, that it wasn't about the flock cameras.
Yes, that's where I'm sitting there waiting for you to let me talk. There, thank you. Tonight wasn't really about flock cameras or NEMA nodes or Bill C9 in Canada. It was about something much bigger. Every story tonight involves surveillance systems making decisions about people without their knowledge, without your consent. A flock camera flagging a truck that wasn't even the right type. A government tracking people for posts from years ago. Smart city infrastructure identifying you as suspicious for just walking home. And that's what makes all of these stories terrifying. Not because the technology exists, but because the people affected often never know it's happening.
Yes. And that's becoming one of the biggest challenges of our time. Surveillance systems are getting more sophisticated. Artificial intelligence keeps learning faster, and it's sharing the information, right? So whether it is you're applying for a job, systems have read your resume, whether it's insurance and it's back to a flock camera, like it's getting smarter, and they're using it. Everyone's using it, right? So the systems are watching us are becoming more invisible, though, because it's behind the scenes. It's all become behind the scenes. So the question isn't whether this is good or bad. It's, what do you do when you understand the systems are watching you? Because awareness changes everything. When you understand how surveillance works, you protect and at yourself differently, and you ask different questions. You recognize patterns others miss, and that's exactly why we created the strategic timing and visibility system.
Everything begins with our free gold membership. Gold isn't about giving you more information. There's already too much information. Gold is about helping you recognize the patterns that actually matter. Every month, we share our strategic timing guide, important astrology and numerology dates, updates from all 4 weekly live shows, and the trends we're watching across technology, AI, surveillance, privacy, and the collective. Our goal is simple: to help you become harder to track, harder to manipulate, and harder to be invisible to. Because when you understand what's changing, you make better decisions.
And once you begin to recognize those patterns, something interesting happens. You start to ask different questions. How do we protect our privacy in a world under constant surveillance instead of just accepting it? How do I reclaim my agency from systems designed to control me instead of letting them decide who I am? Because technology itself isn't the enemy. It can help us learn, build business, reach people, create opportunities, but only when we're using it consciously, not blindly, and not while being watched.
That's exactly why we created Visibility University. Every Saturday morning, we teach people how to use AI, YouTube, automation, and modern technology intentionally. Not to chase fame, not to game algorithms, but to make it easier for the right people to discover the work you're already doing. Whether you've written a book, started a business, teaching something valuable, or have a message you believe people need to hear. Visibility isn't about becoming famous, it's about being discoverable by the people who actually need you. And just like tonight's stories, the people who understand the systems almost always get better results than the people who don't.
Everything we teach comes back to 4 simple ideas: understand the timing, recognize patterns, develop discernment, and then take action. Because information alone does not change your life. The decisions you make with what the information you take in does. So, how you go forward. So, if you'd like to continue learning with us, as always, join our gold membership. You'll get on our email list. You're going to get a lot of details and content with that. So, join us there at breathewithinyoga.com. And when you're ready to get more discovered, reach out to the people that you can help. Go to IamYouTubeFamous.com and join our visibility engine. And before you go into the schedule, I just wanted to highlight what Jimmy said. So I want to reach and say thank you. He says he loves what we're doing. Thank you. So thank you, Jimmy, for watching. We do appreciate that. And we're glad because this is how we want to get these stories that are really happening and things that are like super close to happening, so we can start to see this stuff coming out so you can make those better decisions like we were talking about.
Okay, so everything we do each week builds on the last. It's one journey shared to code, or this be like 4 or 5 hours, right? So we break it up into 4 shows. Sundays, 7:11 p.m. Eastern for the weekly energy overview. Julianne looks at the week ahead through astrology, numerology, and collective timing so you can understand the conditions before you make important decisions. Tonight, Monday, the Monday show, 7 p.m. Eastern. 2 real, 2 truths, 1 lie. We examine what's going on in our world, technology, AI, surveillance, and all the systems quietly shaping our lives. We're not telling you what to think, but to help you think more clearly about what's happening. Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Honestly, though, that's where we zoom out and we connect all the stories of the week. We follow those patterns, we explore that big picture, and ask what those patterns mean for all of us. And of course, Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern, Visibility University. So, where you can learn practical strategies to build your message, your business, start your YouTube channel, reactivate your YouTube channel, give it the weekly love and maintenance it needs. That's what Saturday's for. And we're also going to help you build your visibility using today's tools without getting lost. One improvement, one system, one step at a time.
Exactly. And we're going to give you the best advice. Like, if you've got a whole bunch of episodes, don't post them out in 24 hours. That is not a good way to use YouTube. There is better strategies that are going to be much more impactful. So learn from those that have been working this way, because we will give you the best advice that has worked for us. And we do not advise that, as I just have to make sure I mention it.
But
If you've
come
got
on,
content,
their answer is so my audience can binge watch it.
do you already have a million people waiting for 20 episodes backlogged? Probably not.
I'm assuming you're doing 24 if you're releasing 13 episodes in a day, then you're going to be releasing 13 episodes. I'm expecting 13 episodes every single day for the rest of your life.
Oh, you cut out. I don't know if I'm cutting out.
Oh, sorry, you're cutting out too. So it's just that time.
Okay. And, like, same path. Developers take action. Because the world isn't going to slow down, because it isn't slowing down, surveillance isn't slowing down, and the people who thrive won't necessarily be the ones won't necessarily be the ones with the most information. They'll be the ones who learn to recognize what's happening using the information, right? So especially before everyone else does, because when you find out when everybody else does, it's already too late. So make sure you join us with our gold membership, and when you're ready to be your work easier to be discovered, toofamous.com, and we will see you next time on Thursday for Honestly Though, as we look at the news and what is on in the energy. And thank you everybody for joining us. Have a good evening. Bye.